we would like to ask our honored guest, Aung San Suu Kyi, to give her lecture, which is entitled The Role of Buddhism in the Process of Social Change, a message for Japanese students. Aung San Suu Kyi, please.
Buddhism. I hope I'm somebody who is trying to be a good Buddhist, but I cannot even claim that I am a good Buddhist. I'm still trying. I was born into Buddhism and I've always believed in it, but I've had to learn about it all my life and I'm still learning. So I cannot speak to you as a great expert on Buddhism, simply as a Buddhist who tries to live life as she thinks the Lord Buddha would have wanted her to. And when I speak about the role of Buddhism in social and political change in Burma, I would like to keep it very short, because I haven't finished within 10 minutes. I will explain why. It's to leave some time for you to put questions to me, and some time to greet some of the people who are outside. Now, that is, I mentioned this because for me, that is part of what Buddhism is about. Buddhism is about caring for people. I do care that young people outside have been waiting to greet me for a long time, and I do care that I may not have the opportunity to greet them before I leave, and I would like to do that as far as possible. In some ways, I think that is more important than a lecture. It's to practice Buddhism. Buddhism is based on caring for others, caring for the feelings of others, and as we try to bring about social and economic change in our country, we've got to begin with the simple work of caring. Unless you care for others, you cannot claim to be a Buddhist. Because Buddhism is based on loving kindness, metta, and compassion, karuna. Without metta and karuna, we cannot talk about Buddhism as I would like to see it. I think that is the best contribution we could make towards change in our country. That our change should be based not on violence or on anger, or on the desire for revenge, or on the desire for power, but on the desire to spread the message of loving kindness and compassion among our people and among peoples all over the world. Burma has been a divided country for many years. We have never known true peace in our country. There never has been a time since we became independent in 1948 when we could have said that all the fires of anger and war had died out in our country. Always there were armed insurgent groups, sometimes engaged in active warfare, sometimes not, but still armed and ready for a violent solution at any time. This has been the situation in our country, and if we are to change that, if we want to truly make the message of the Buddha, that of peace and loving kindness, prevail in our country, we'll have to start caring for one another. We are not all Buddhists in Burma. There are many who practice other religions, but we must respect them equally, and we must give them the same measure of loving kindness and compassion that we would give to fellow Buddhists. If we are going to choose between who belongs to our religion and who does not, then we cannot truly be said to be practicing the spirit of Buddhism. Politics, the link between politics and Buddhism, as I see it, I think will be very clear to you if you read the chapter in Quest of Democracy in my book, Freedom from Fear. If I say that, that will save me from many long explanations. But the basic message is that Buddhism is not in contradiction to modern concepts of democracy, because Buddhism puts a lot of value on each and every individual, which means value is placed on humans and human rights. And the basis of a genuine democratic society is respect for human rights. Respect for human rights and an active value put on each and every human being. When I was outside just now, I was struck by the fact that so many of those who were waiting to greet me were young. And on top of that, male, which is rather surprising, because I've always been told that in Japan, the men are somewhat conscious of the particular status of the gender. And so I was very touched to find that many of the young people outside waiting to greet me were young men, young boys, and that they treated me with the kind of friendliness that one can only value wherever one may be. Because we cannot take loving kindness and compassion for granted. What is given to us, it must be given voluntarily. I've often made the point that loving kindness is not something that you can buy or demand or enforce from people. You cannot even ask for it. It has to be given to you voluntarily. So you also must give voluntarily if you wish to receive voluntarily. Between the members of a society that would wish to be a new kind of democratic society, we must place these Buddhist values at the forefront. Some of you may think that this is wishful thinking, that this is idealistic, this is not possible. But I believe that we always have to work towards ideals. We always have to work towards what seems impossible. I remember reading that during the Second World War, perhaps this is not a very good example, but the spirit is what I like. I understand that in one of the fighting stations of the Second World War, they put a notice up on the wall in their barracks that we do the impossible every day. Miracles take a little longer to achieve. This is the kind of spirit we must foster, that we must try to do the impossible every day and have confidence that we can achieve what seems miraculous if we try harder. And indeed, it would be a miracle if we could spread peace all over the world. But we have to work towards it in the full confidence that human beings are capable of the best, just as they are capable of the worst. So it is for us to choose whether we want to go for the best or for the worst. And I believe that we must choose the best in our own interest, in the interest of this world, in the interest of the human race. And for that, I depend mainly on the young, for they have time ahead of them. We, the older ones, have less time than we have. They have more time than we have in order to cultivate the values in which they believe. So, if you ask me what the role of Buddhism is in the process of socio-democratic change, I have 3 more minutes. But I would say that its main role is to convince people that what we want to achieve, we can achieve through peaceful means, through the practice of loving kindness and compassion as taught to us by the Lord Buddha. And in this practice, we should not discriminate against people who adhere to other religions. Narrow-mindedness is antithetical to Buddhism. And we have to have a broad and generous approach towards the kind of changes that we wish to bring about. If you ask me if I'm optimistic about the future, talking purely in administrative and economic and political terms, I've always said that we must be cautiously optimistic about what is happening in Burma today. But if I have to speak as a human being, and if I have to set out a message that appeals to the human spirit, then I would say I'm very optimistic, because I believe that each and every one of us has the quality to change the society in which we live. We only have to be committed enough. We have to be determined enough to bring about the changes that we wish for. So in my country, I would like to bring about the changes that we want, political, social, and economic, through a basic adherence to the highest values of Buddhism. So this is my very short message, and I finished precisely on time. So there will be enough of a period left over for questions and answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your inspiring lecture. Aung San Suu Kyi asked us if we could also have a question and answer period with our students after the lecture. But a few moments still remain, but I have to say that there is not enough time for discussion. So Aung San Suu Kyi has a busy schedule to keep, so she has to leave here just 4 o'clock. Therefore, may I ask Aung San Suu Kyi to introduce 5 representative students in the Nansan to prepare their own questions in advance. And after that, we are very pleased if we could give some comments or answers to those questions before. Thank you for your kind attention. So, first, 5 students would very briefly like to submit their questions. Okay? The first question will come from Mr. Yoshiichi Ouch, please.
Thank you very much for your speech. My name is Yoshiichi Ouch. I study religion here in the Buddhism University. So today I would like to ask you a question about religion. I am a Buddhist, and I wonder about meaning of life. I consider the reasonable and purpose of my existence. Buddhism is like my friend that accompanies me on the quest for the answer. So religion is very important for me. Could you please tell me the role in your life about Buddhism?
Buddhism has always been a part of my life, but you mentioned the meaning of life. What is the purpose of life? And I think the purpose that you decide is yours will shape the course of your life. I do believe that the purpose of my life is to try to make the world that I live in, which may simply mean my family and my friends, my community, it could mean my country, it could mean the whole world. But to try to make the place that I am in better once I have left it. You should leave the place where you come to better than when you came to it. That is my very simple philosophy. And I hope that it's not something that will be too hard to practice.
Thank you. We prepared 5 representative students in advance, but I'm sorry, allow me to the second to 4th students. I'm very sorry. And that's the next step. Who is currently enrolled in our School of Cultural Communications, Miss Tepon Ring, please. It's okay?
The Romanian.
It is a great honor to meet you. My name is Tepon Ring, and I am from the Republic of the Union of Myanmar. I just completed my studies in Graduate School of Intercultural Communication Management. My question is, what are the hopes and expectations for the young people in Myanmar who carry tomorrow on their shoulders, and in our opinion, what's the goal they need to achieve that? I will be so happy if you give a message to students from Myanmar who are currently studying abroad in Japan. Thank you.
My message to the students of Burma and to the people of Burma in general is that they must develop a sense of responsibility. That duty is something on which they should place a high value. Young people find duty a very boring word, but in fact it's not at all boring, it's very inspiring. If you live your life along the lines of the duty that you think you owe your fellow human beings, you will find that your life is that much more meaningful. Everybody should put greater emphasis on their duties than on their rights. If not, then their life will be unbalanced. So I would like the young people of Burma here to know that one of the prime duties, if they're studying here, is to do their studies properly, is to learn as much as they can, that they might be able to benefit our country in the not too distant future. So if you would look upon duty as a prime important issue of your life, I will be very, very happy for the future of Burma.
Thank you. announce that we have reached for
I'm very sorry because I would like to have spent more time next week, but I think it's not a matter of the length of time you spend together, but of the kind of understanding and links that you managed to establish. And just from the welcome that I received outside, I feel that I have established very, very strong links of friendship and metta with Ryukoku University. Thank you very much.
Prepare 5 questions, 5 student quiz with the bouquet approach. They would like to present the Aung San Suu Kyi with the bouquet of flowers. Aung San Suu Kyi, may I ask you to read to the center of the stage, right hand side of the center stage, please, student.
한두원